People love procedural shows, but the problem with most of them is that they're super predictable. Despite the villain's best efforts, the heroes always come out on top. In contrast, NCIS doesn't always have a happy ending for the good guys. Sometimes they don't even make it. Tragic deaths have occurred, and we've gone through some alarming revelations. So in today's video, we'll be ranking the top 5 most shocking moments from its history. First off, let's look at why the show is so famous. Even though it's in its 9th season, NCIS still has a lot of fans for one simple reason: it's the smartest procedural on TV. The show's popularity can be judged by the fact that there are people out there who even write fan fiction for these characters. Well, that's how you know your show has been a big-time hit, when it starts to spawn its own fandom. The NCIS team's methods for solving crimes aren't groundbreaking, but that's part of the show's brilliance. By not focusing on the processes, the show gives more time to its characters. The team is so popular because each character has super interesting backstories. Here is where the brilliance of the script comes in. It rounds out the characters' personalities, making them unforgettable. Even longtime fans of the show can't predict what would happen to their favorite characters from one episode to the next. In contrast to other shows which solve the week's case before moving on to the season's overarching mystery in the final few minutes of each episode, NCIS weaves these threads into each episode. Although there are elements of the show that aren't very plausible, the human connections that they build are engaging and believable. Not only does the show have excellent plotting and likable characters, but it also reflects the beliefs and ideals of its viewers. The characters cherish tradition, and their own set of unwritten conventions take precedence over any politically correct or bureaucratically imposed restrictions. That's why we love it. Coming up, at number 5, we have the team splitting up. There are many things that fans love about the season finales, like shocking character reveals and explosive showdowns between longtime enemies. The first shocking incident that we'll be talking about is the episode titled Judgment Day. In the first half of the very tense episodes, Jennifer Shepard, played by Lauren Holly, was killed in a gunfight with 4 killers in a seemingly empty cafe. In the aftermath, Vance told Gibbs that she held her own and even killed a few people. In the second part of the episode, we find out that Shepard was killed by a hitwoman named Svetlana Chernetskaya, who was out for revenge. Her husband was killed by Gibbs while he was on a secret mission, and she has held a grudge against him and Shepard ever since. It ended with the character luring Chernetskaya to Shepard's study, where she pointed her gun right at him. In a very tense moment, viewers held their breaths as it looked like it would be the end of the line for our hero. But then there's another shot. Agent Michael Franks and his gun saved the day, and Mark Harmon, thank goodness. But that's not all. There's one more surprise. Vance breaks up the band. The new director fired Ziva David from her liaison job and reassigned DiNozzo and Timothy McGee. As Judgment Day comes to an end, we get the impression that he'd done a good job of breaking up Gibbs' team. This is a really scary cliffhanger.
Meet your new team.
Now, for DiNozzo meeting his daughter at number 4. The most moving episode ever was Family First from season 13. The first sign that Ziva David's life support had stopped working was the explosion at her farm. Just as Tony was starting to lose it, he got more bad news. It turned out that he was her daughter Tali's father. This led the special agent to realize that he now had someone who was entirely dependent on him, and this got him to make a tough decision. He decided to quit the team so he can take care of his daughter.
Tali.
Even though that was one of the most adorable moments in the series, fans were very sad to hear that the special agent wouldn't be appearing on their screens anymore. Michael Weatherly played the character and was a key member of the major case response team led by Mark Harmon's Gibbs. He wasn't always a likable character, but he was a good agent, and as the show went on, he got better as a person too. Together, the agent and his co-worker Ziva, played by Cote DePablo, gave us one of the most dynamic pairings on screen, and the fans absolutely loved them. Coming up at number 3, when Abby was shot. Abby Sciuto, the forensic scientist, was probably the most famous member of the team. Without her knowledge of DNA analysis, ballistics, computer hacking, and more, the team wouldn't be able to solve a single case. The perilous nature of NCIS's investigations meant that she was frequently put in harm's way. Despite being abducted, held at knife point, and shot at, she never stopped believing in her team. Season 15 began with her finishing a romantic supper with MI6 agent Clayton Reeves. On the way out, they were approached by Kent Marshall, a former Army specialist, who asked them for change.
Spare some change.
Once Clayton sees that the veteran is armed, he shoves her out of the path. Because of the agent's bravery, she escaped, but she lost her lover in the tragic incident.
Look, just take it and go, yeah? You want to help me? Say it. You want to help me?
Yes, I want to help you.
You can't!
Kent, it turns out, was a contract killer, and she was his intended target. The computer-savvy scientist had previously assisted in the incarceration of a mega-criminal named Robert King. From there on out, she took a vow to bring her love interest killer to justice. In an amazing turn of events, the scientist manipulates the Kingpin into admitting his guilt and helps put him back in prison where he belonged. Now that she had completed her mission, she planned to relocate to London and establish a foundation in memory of Clayton's late mother. That brought fans to tears as it was the agent's lifelong dream. Finally, the iconic tech queen gave her notice to NCIS. Let's look at Ziva's comeback at number 2. In the first episode of the 17th season, we found out how Ziva managed to stay alive and lived in secret for decades. During the previous season's finale, fans were over the moon when they caught a glimpse of their favorite character. At the time, it wasn't clear if she was just a vision or if she was there in front of Gibbs. The woman who had been following her had now started following the director as well. She came back and started working with her old boss to protect him and finally be a part of her daughter's life again. This revelation has been one of the most popular in NCIS history. Fans couldn't stop talking about how she came back and what her motivations were. The amazing writers didn't take long to answer the many questions fans had. After McGee and the rest of the team searched Gibbs' house, Bishop went to Ziva's old office, where a woman named Odette told him that she had faked her death and gone underground to protect her family from the explosion at the farmhouse.
She used her presumed death as a protective shield for herself and her family.
If you remember, this was the explosion that killed her in the first place. But fans still didn't know if Tony knew that the agent was back or not. Since Odette wouldn't tell him and Ziva was too busy looking for the person who was after her, the audience had to wait a while to find out. Finally, at the top spot, we've Caitlin Todd's death. There have indeed been many stunning moments during NCIS's 19 seasons so far, but Special Agent Caitlin Todd's death in Season 2 stands out as one of the most memorable. Her untimely demise came as a complete surprise to viewers and cast members alike, but there was some off-screen drama at play here. Fans know that she had played a Secret Service agent who ended up quitting because she was having an affair with a co-worker. She was hired right away by NCIS agent Gibbs and had become a major part of the team from the very start. She turned out to be a master at psychological profiling and drawing. Partnered up with Agent DiNozzo, the audience loved their dynamic as the two couldn't have been more different personalities. It was heartwarming to watch how much the partners cared about each other and how often they got on each other's nerves. The two might have even ended up together if her untimely death hadn't made that impossible. In the second season's episode titled Twilight, the agent was assassinated when Mossad double agent Ari Haswari shot her in the head. The traitor was the half-brother of Ziva, who took over when she died.
I thought I'd die before I ever heard comedy.
Let us give you some exciting off-screen information as well. This wasn't how things were supposed to end for the character, but the actress, Sasha Alexander, left the show because of the intense schedule they were on. With Caitlin's murder, the series showed us that anything could happen and no one was safe. This is why it has survived so long and why fans love it as much as they do. That's a wrap for this video. Do you want to know more about all the shocking turns of event on everyone's favorite show, NCIS? Then let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.